This coming week, Mountain Lake PBS is presenting two films from Akwesasne filmmaker Katsitsionni Fox. Her film, Under the Husk, follows the journey of two Mohawk girls as they take part in the traditional rite of passage to becoming Mohawk women. And also her latest documentary, Without a Whisper, is the untold story of how Native American women helped to inspire the women's suffrage movement here in the U.S. Katsitsionni joins us now. Welcome. It's nice to see you.
It's nice to be here.
We are looking forward to seeing your films here on Mountain Lake PBS this coming Tuesday afternoon. Let's begin with Without a Whisper, which is your latest. You have said that this film is so important to you because it honors your grandmothers, who inspired one of the truly great chapters in American history, the beginning of the women's rights movement.
That's right. And it's something that's not written about in history. It's something that our young people don't learn about normally. So I'm so happy to be able to have this film out there and to have this hidden history finally out there and shared.
So this is the story of what happened before the first Women's Rights Convention in Seneca Falls, New York, back in 1848. Tell us how your ancestors had such a profound influence on the suffrage movement.
Well, the Haudenosaunee people were in, our territory is pretty much New York State. So the suffragettes that were in Seneca Falls and around that area, were surrounded by our people. And for the Haudenosaunee women, we already had equal rights with men. We had a force in government, like we were with the clan mothers and the chiefs, had equal footing in government. We had a role socially, economically, politically, like we were in balance. And that was something that the suffragettes seen that they didn't have. So the European women at that time didn't have rights politically. They didn't have rights. Like when they got married, everything would belong to their husband. So, they seen something that they wanted.
So the suffragists turned to your grandmothers for guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Your film follows two women who set out to correct the historical narrative of this chapter in American history that, as you just mentioned, a lot of people really didn't know about.
That's right. So Sally Roche Wagner is, she teaches at Syracuse University in women's studies, and she's been teaching for over 40 years. And she actually uncovered this hidden history while she was researching a suffragette, Matilda Jocelyn Gage. And she was wondering, where did they get their ideas from? Like, how did this come about? Because they didn't come from this kind of world where women could be equal. So she was wondering about that, and that's when she uncovered that. And the other person that's in the film that's good friends with Sally is Louise Hearn, who is from our community of Akwesasne. She's a Bear Clan mother. And the two of them really set out to try to share this history. And it's really starting to grow. Like, a lot more people are starting to learn about it from the film, and also from, articles that have been in the Washington Post and the New York Times, like all over the place. It's really starting to spread.
So when you heard about this, you said, oh, I've got to make a film about this.
Yeah, yep.
What's been the response to the film?
We've been getting a really good response to the film. We showed it here at our school at Salmon River, and the young people really liked it. It's been on PBS, across the country, and now I'm so excited it's going to be, on our local station. We've been doing really well in the film festivals, and we've been getting a really positive response to it.
You've been a filmmaker for almost 20 years now, and many of your films have Indigenous themes and really messages of empowerment and resilience among Indigenous women.
Yeah, I really try to focus on their stories because we're so underrepresented. When you look in popular media, you don't see Native people very often. And when you do, it's not usually in a positive light. So I really wanted to share some of our stories. We've had such great contributions to the world, really, with things like democracy, like women's rights, with food. There's so many things that Indigenous people have contributed. And, right now, a lot of times women are the ones that are in the front lines, with different movements that are going on today.
The other film we're showing is Under the Husk, which follows two Mohawk girls on their journey to become Mohawk women. The girls who live in the Mohawk territory at Akwesasne undertake a 4-year rite of passage for teenagers The traditional ceremony had nearly become extinct, but now has really made a comeback. Has your film played a big role in this being revived?
I don't think it's played a big role in having it revived, but it's really documented it. The reason why I made the film was because I seen this rite of passage that we've been doing here, bringing this ceremony back, is making such a huge impact on our young people and on our community. And it was something that I felt that was so important to share. And, recognizing that rite of passage is a way of honoring our youth as they're making that transition. And I think that's something that's important for everybody, for every culture, really.
So tell us a little bit about what this rite of passage is. What are these teenagers learning?
They're learning what their gifts are. So on this journey, they're learning about their culture and their history and their traditions. And they're also learning, what's their gift? Like, why were they put here? And everybody has that. Everybody has some gift that they're meant to share, and that helps them to find that and helps them to understand the roles and responsibilities of becoming a young man or a young woman. And I think when we don't do that, when we don't honor that transition, we can get stuck there. So we have like 40-year-old men that act like 15-year-old boys because they haven't had those teachings and haven't had that recognition.
What is the ceremony exactly?
So the ceremony is a 4-year process, and the young people choose an aunt or aunties or uncles to help guide them through the process. And they're learning about our culture and our traditions. And then in the spring, they do a fast where they sit out by themselves in the woods. And the first year they'll sit out for 1 day, and then the second year, 2 days, all the way up until 4 days. And when they finish those 4 years and that process of fasting and reflecting, we welcome them in as men and women in our community.
4 days of fasting must be difficult, though.
It is difficult. It's very challenging, and I see it in the young people when they come out. It puts them in a different place. It really humbles them, because when you're going out without food and water, it really makes you appreciate and honor those things more. And I think that the young people that go through this, if you can sit out there by yourself for 4 days and 4 nights without food and water and without other people around, you can pretty much do anything, so it puts them on that mindset.
Tell us a little bit about the history of the ceremony. How far does this ritual date back?
We've been doing this for like hundreds of years, and with the onset of colonization and that came in for our people, we lost it for a while. So there was a time when we weren't practicing it, and so it was something that we were able to bring back, and in a big way, because it started out with 7 youth in our community 17 years ago, and now there's been a few hundred kids that have gone through it, and also spread to other communities throughout Haudenosaunee Confederacy.
And how does it feel to be able to share this story of how this has been brought back?
I think it's so empowering for our youth to be able to see themselves in a positive light, and to see some of the the good things that are happening, to be proud of that. And I'm happy to share that.
Fantastic. We will look forward to it. Katsitsionni Fox, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.